What's going on, assassins? I have another rumor for you. Every time a new Assassin's Creed game comes out, for some reason, we always look at where the next game is going to take place. And I know I put out a video a couple of days ago where we got the information that it was going to be in China. Well, now again, we have an alternate area that we're seeing or that we're hearing about. And again, it's a rumor. Don't take it, as fact, because it's not. It's just rumors, but I love these kind of things because sometimes they come up with great ideas. I'm Darkstrider, the YouTube Assassin. Let's get into this. So, like I said, the last time I put out one of these videos, supposedly the next Assassin's Creed was going to take place in China. Now, it's altered. Another report is suggesting that it's going to be in a medieval European setting with special focus on France and Germany, which is kind of crazy. Like, I don't understand why we would go there, being that it's, I don't know, medieval. I mean, I could kind of see it. But anyway, it kind of does line up with the events of Valhalla. It could be because, like, right after Valhalla, we'd go into, like, the medieval times. We'd go into basically what was happening in the events of AC1. So it may be what Silent has speculated, where he thinks maybe it'll be a hard reset and maybe they'll redo some of these games and or give us more adventures with these games, with these characters, and maybe even have Cassandra alive during these times helping us out, because as we all know, she is still alive at this time ever since the events of Odyssey, which would be kind of crazy. I don't know exactly when this would come out. The speculation, again, is that it's going to be released in 2022, which, again, I think is too short of a time to have between this game and the next. I kind of feel like that would really not make any sense. That, Ubisoft, with their development of Valhalla and all the issues that we've seen here, I really think that they really have to fix this game, and a bunch of you echoed that sentiment on my last video. This game has to be, it really does need a couple of more patches, because it really does need to be a little more playable. I know a lot of people are saying that they see certain things being repaired, that they see a couple of things that are just a lot better than they were. But still, there are a lot of people that are having these kind of like crazy problems. Like one of the problems that we're having now, one of the Opal quests needs you to go out and avenge another player's death, which is something that we've had ever since Assassin's Creed Origins, and it is not here in this game. Although they do recognize that there's a problem and they're investigating, it makes no sense. They still have to like fix it. Now, the first Valhalla expansion is going to be the Siege of Paris. The DLC is going to relive the most ambitious battle in Viking history as they attempt to infiltrate the French capital, which, that's kind of odd that, that's coming out this year. I mean, with everything that's happened in the U.S., it's kind of funny timing. Anyway, we're not going to get political, but I think that that's actually going to be a lot of fun. I would love to see what goes on in there. I would love to see what happens there, if it would set up the events of an Assassin's Creed that is dealing with medieval Europe. I'd love to see that. I'm hoping that in the expansion that we don't have the same thing like we have in Vinland, where you only have gear that's limited towards that area. I would have loved to take the armor and weapons that we get in Vinland and upgrade them and bring them back and stuff like that. But I understand the parts of the story, the constraints that gave us a reason not to. But I think that's kind of wild. I think that that might work. It might work, especially if they're using that DLC to kind of move the narrative. I think that that would really be kind of like wild, like maybe there's a reason that there's people that like stayed behind during that siege that eventually become some sort of knights or whatever working in that area. I think that that would be cool. uh, I don't know which I would prefer, either that scenario or the China scenario. I don't know. I was kind of hooked on the idea of having a game with, I guess, more like weaponry and things like that over in that region, in that region of Asia. I thought that that might be cool. I had a couple ideas what the scenario would be. Although, even if it's a medieval setting with France and Germany, I still think that that would be kind of cool. I just don't know which one I would prefer. I kind of need more information to see what happens and whatnot. Maybe the DLC comes out and, you know, maybe it does set everything up. Maybe it does set up the events of another game. Now, as far as it being a full game, we still don't have that information, whether it's going to be like a spin off or if it's going to be an actual entry into that game or into the series. Again, I really feel like that's too early, a 2022 release. I really feel like Ubisoft needs to polish Valhalla first. We were promised, or we were not, I'm not going to say promised because it's Ubisoft, but we were kind of told that they were going to do 2 seasons, which means that it would go into 2022. Even though it was released at the end of 2020, I figured that by the end of 2022 would be when we kind of end it. So I would think the next Assassin's Creed game would be early 2023, I would feel like. Or maybe even mid. Or you know what? I wouldn't even be mad if it was late 2023. Because they need to polish Valhalla. It needs to be a little more playable. Also, if they're going to do another game, it cannot be as disastrous as Valhalla's launch was. We cannot have that. That was like crazy. Widespread problems to the point of people unable to save, people losing game hours, people not being able to play. And this is across all systems. I always get the comments from commenters like, well, I play on the Xbox One, or I play on the PS4, I play on PC, I play on this. I never had a problem. I haven't run into any of those problems that you have. And then, it just, you're fanning the flames of a console war that makes no sense. I always tell people, just because you did not experience these bugs does not mean they don't exist. A lot of people have ran into this problem. A lot of people have ran into these problems. A lot of people are telling me even weeks later, oh my God, I just logged in and all my progress is gone. So that's got to be a major thing. They really have to polish that off. I know it's going to be a different studio. It's going to be the studio that worked on Odyssey. But even Odyssey had its bugs. And Odyssey was really, really bad when it first came out. And the thing is that they did patch it quickly. I mean, right now I'm giving them a learning curve because we have the pandemic going on. Everybody's working at home, so I kind of give them that pass. What I want, though, is that if they are going to make this, it has to be good. It has to make sense. I'd like some better characters that I feel more closely to. No, I'm not talking about, like marking boxes and things like that. No, I'm not talking SJW nonsense. I'm talking I need actual characters with like real personalities, kind of like Bayek, kind of like Ezio, the memorable kind of people, That's what I want to see. Now, could a European setting work? Could a medieval setting work? To that, I say yes. Maybe it's the events prior to what goes on in Assassin's Creed, the original. Because, of course, during that time, you had, King Richard and all those knights storming the Middle East and everything like that. It was it was historical, but at the same time, obviously not, because the events are made up. And I always tell people, you don't play Assassin's Creed for the history lesson. If you do, you're crazy, because it's not telling actual history. It's just showing you like certain events. But I'm kind of interested to see how that would play out. Just think of that, Paris and Germany, but all the information that we have so far, it really, really speaks to Paris. It's really not talking a lot about Germany. It does talk about the medieval European setting. I don't know. I don't know. I would love to see what that's like. Again, when we get the DLC that comes out this year, we'll see what it looks like. We'll see if it does set up the events of the next game. If it could set up the events of the next game. And just how it would go about doing that. What gets me kind of crazy about these DLCs is that in certain games, certain DLCs really do set these kind of things up. I remember in Origins, when I got the Curse of the Pharaohs DLC, the ending to that, to me, it left on kind of a cliffhanger. And I really felt that the next entry in the series was going to deal with Bayek, like Bayek was going to get his own trilogy like Ezio. Because there were a lot of questions that I had after the end of Curse of the Pharaohs. So I'm hoping that this DLC doesn't do that. I don't want that. And I don't want some weird DLC like Legacy of the Hidden Blade, which the first part was really short. You could do it in 4 hours. Second part was a lot longer, but it just, I don't know. There were certain things that weren't explained there. And by the time you got to the end of it, it was kind of, I don't know, unfulfilling, unsatisfying, at least to me. And then the Atlantis DLC, I was kind of disappointed in, because we had Assassin's Creed 3, and at the end, they show a totally different Atlantis than what's going on in the Atlantis DLC for Odyssey. So I didn't understand why they kind of retconned that. I thought that they should have kept what went on in the end of Part 3. And in fact, in giving us that DLC or the game for free with the Season Pass, I kind of felt like it was a missed opportunity. I kind of felt like, you're kind of, I don't know, like hiding certain things. But we'll see. We'll see what the DLC looks like. We'll see if it's possibly setting something up. And then we'll see what the second DLC is, and if that helps the case, or if it's its own thing. Anyway, let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Do you prefer this scenario, or do you prefer the China scenario? Or do you think that it's going to be a totally different game? Obviously, normally, it is. Normally, people will come out, there'll be 8 different things that they claim it'll be. It'll be something totally different. Originally we thought that Valhalla was going to be dealing with Rome. It was going to be dealing with so many other things, and it ended up being a Viking story. We even thought that it was going to be like the last gen, the past 2 generations of consoles, where you had Rogue on one system, on the older system, and then Unity on the newer system. But again, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think it is? Do you think that it's China? Do you think it's this new medieval European setting? Do you think it's something else entirely? What would you prefer? And what would you like to see? What would you like to see from the series? And is a 2022 release date too early? Let me know that. Let me know if you think that that's too early or if you think that's just right. Because as I've said, and a lot of you have agreed with me, we're going to be 3 months in with Valhalla, and I'm kind of bored. I'm dying for this DLC to come out. Anyway, again, love to hear your thoughts. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. It helps this channel out an awful lot. As always, I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. Until next time, take care, be good, stay safe, take care of each other. I'll see you assassins in the next one.